Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. Well, it's been another memorable weekend in what's turning into being an amazing season for us. Probably one of the most memorable in our 137-year history so far. I just want to double check, make sure everyone can hear me and we're having a bit of gremlins today. Not as much as what they're having on Match of the Day and Gary Lineker had to deal with tonight, but we've had a couple of gremlins. But can everyone hear me? Just to say before I go on, fantastic. So so it's been an amazing weekend again for the Arsenal, and so it seems not only are Super Mick Arteta's red and white demolition boys experts at blowing up bridges, they're actually the daddies at unclogging toilet bowls too. They put on a first half clinic to silence the orc hordes in the stands, and they vanquished the shadow dwellers, the Trophy Dodgers FC, the best stadium in the world PLC, the 2022-23 summer transfer window winners, the 2019 RD Cup champions, best start to a Premier League ever champions, and still Arsenal are above all. With me tonight, I've got my three boys with me. I've got Neil Shah. How you doing, my friend?
Stop it. I thought James makes me laugh, but God, you two are going to kill me tonight. Yes, I'm well, thanks. Come on. How can we not be happy at the moment? Unbelievable stuff.
Buzzing, mate. Buzzing.
Looking forward to United now. Yes, bring it on.
Good stuff. And I've also got Daniel James. How you doing, my friend Daniel? Thanks for doing the little shorts that you've dropped. Reporting on the front lines, bullets flying and got the Kevlar on and all that stuff, at half time and everything, ducking under the bodies and stuff like that. But thanks for coming on, bro.
That's cool, man. That's all good. Great for beating them trophy Dodgers, man. It's all good.
Leave. And I've last but not least, I've got the legend, the myth, the Jizzer. We go for the Wu-Tang last time. Now he's got the Jizzer. He's coming out. That's James Johnstone. How you doing, man?
I'm very, very well. I tell you what, that's one of the best intros I think to a podcast in years, my friend. I love that. So thank you very, very much.
I appreciate it, man. I text me. I think I'm in the wrong job. I spent most of the time at work here trying to think of something to say. Obviously, put these people. I did say to you last time I got something cooking for them. So, but I hope that was good enough. But before we go any further, just a shout out to Ben and Sam Breed. They're two young gooners. I've heard they were a bit lively on their way back. I work with their mum, and she was saying that she could hear them coming down the road because they were waking up the neighbourhood, singing Arsenal songs, and waking everybody up. So that's good stuff. Well, keep it up. It looks like the next generation's in good hands. So keep that up.
Does Richard Keys know about those two boys? Because they're going to get a knock on the door from the celebration police. They're not going to like that.
Yeah, we might talk about that Muppet later. But gents, as North London derbies go, that was probably the most one of the most enjoyable and clinical and efficient ones we've seen in some time. I'll start with you, Neil. What was your general take on the performance? I mentioned to you last week, like, would it be a case of normal derby's form goes out the window, doesn't it, normally? But I think in this instance, it was actually a case that form it stood right there, and the difference in class was absolutely embarrassment. What do you think?
Yeah. I think we meant you did bring that up, and it was a good question. And I think we pretty much all said that. Yeah, normally it is difficult to look at form when you have a derby like this. Historically, one team will be playing bad, the other one good, and then the opposite happens with the result, completely unexpected. But I think we all said this time we cannot ignore the form. We've been just so good, and it was telling. We went with the same philosophy that we have done for what I'd say the majority of this season. Start fast, start on the front foot. We were giving them problems straight away. We overloaded their midfield because of the way they set up, and they were chasing shadows pretty much the whole first half. And I don't think I have seen. I'm sure that the guys will will have their own say, but I'm sure they'll agree that I've not seen a more clinical 45 minutes in a North London derby before. Well, I can't remember one in recent years. We were so dominant; it was unreal. I mean, anything they threw at us. I mean, they did have a couple of chances, and Ramsdale was there to mop that up because he was exceptional. Hence, I put his name on the the screen today.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was wonderful throughout the whole match. I mean, he didn't have much to do, but when he had to do it, he did it. But every single player, again, they stuck to their script. They knew what they had to do. They're very telepathic with each other. They almost like it's almost become instinctive. They know where they are. The off the ball movement is great, and it's just fast and it's impressive to watch. It's not like we're winning these games really scrappily or very boringly, or we're actually playing good football and winning as well, which is that's what we wanted. We always wanted. When we were struggling, all of us used to say that we just want to see a good performance, even if we do really well and lose. At least we can hold our heads up high and say, well, that was a great performance. But we're doing both now. We're performing well and we're winning. And what I liked about it, I mean, I know you guys will probably go on. We can talk about the specifics a bit later on, but I thought even in the second half, coming into the second half off the back of that great first half, of course, we expected them to come on stronger. That's been their pattern anyway this season. They seem to kind of step up a little bit in the second half, which they did. But we managed it so well. I mean, yeah, there was a couple of hairy moments. And of course, because it's Arsenal, Tottenham, you do feel a bit, oh, God, you get a little bit worried. But we managed it really well. And I have to give a shout out to both those centre backs because, when one isn't playing so well, the other one mops up and vice versa. And I was hoping that Saliba would have a great game. And I thought he played well. He stepped up again. He's coming back to his old self again after that first couple of games after the World Cup. He wasn't quite himself, maybe. Just magnificent. What a win. And, I hope Richarlison and Romeo, what his bloody name is, those two really, really did not impress me at all, not one bit. Very sad to see the ending at the scenes at the end, but hopefully justice will prevail. But yeah, overall, absolutely ecstatic with that.
Yeah, totally agree. Obviously, we'll touch upon that shenanigans at the end, which just proves obviously the class that they say that they have, which they obviously haven't got. And obviously, Daniel, I know your season ticket holder. You've been fortunate to see obviously a lot of the performances at home this season, where we've been outstanding. Again, this is another dominant away performance in terms of the whole control and of the game. Really, again, I think there's probably only 2 games away from home. Second half at Leeds, and then the Southampton second half as well. Probably only 2 games I think away from home where we just haven't sort of been at the level. But what was your thoughts on what you saw and touching on what Neil said?
Yeah, I agree with everything Neil said. Really, fantastic performance, total control. We didn't even really need. I'd be controversial actually. I would say we did it. I don't even think we even entered 5th or 6th gear really. I think the way we controlled them, we just had them in a space. Conte's formation, for whatever reason, it just didn't work. It hasn't been working. He plays the 3-4-3. It's a bit of a dinosaur, really, with his tactics. He doesn't seem like he's one that's willing to evolve and change. Long may it continue. I don't care. But we just seem to have Spurs by the privates, really. I was really impressed with our midfield control. I was impressed with how I like the way, especially how Partey and Xhaka, in their partnership, they don't really always seem to actually need to bust a gut. It's all about positioning, really. And the way how Zinchenko joins the midfield as well. It's just a great tactical spectacle to watch, really. And I thought that. I mean, I will be honest. Spurs, despite Spurs not really being as good as they have been in the last few seasons, at this point of the campaign, I did expect better from them. To be honest, I did expect a lot more from them. I think Son went missing. Kane had a couple of opportunities. You always have to watch Kane. He only needs half a chance. He only needs one chance per game. So yeah, I just think, we just had them, and there was nothing they could really do about it. And I think the negative energy that's going on around their ground as well, with their fans booing them and stuff like that, that's obviously having an impact on them, just like it was with us. Remember, not too long ago. Yeah, it really does kind of permeate through to the players when the stadium is negative, and you definitely sense that around the toilet bowl. So
it's true. I mean, I was going to say, like, James, I know obviously you're going to just bring you in a minute, but I'm kind of trying to think of, again, we're talking about the actual performance, and in the past when we have beaten Tottenham, we haven't done so as sort of comfortable as that before. It's always been even with the Invincibles, when we used to go down there and we beat them 2-1. Remember the time when Kanu scored that ridiculous goal when he flips it over, and I think we just sneaked that one as well. Well, I think we won that one maybe 3-1, but it's always they always throw us a little spanner in the works. You always try and muddy the waters a little bit, but there was just none of that. I mean, I think Ben White, absolutely pocketed Son. That's why he didn't show, and he's done that, in all the away games to Sterling as well. But what was your take on the performance as well? And mainly just, again, like the guys have touched upon, the way that the patterns that we were doing. There was one point where Zinchenko was playing centre back. He won the ball at centre back, and he came out. I think there was a moment in the first half where he came out with the ball, and he was like, he's like, what's he doing there? But it's obviously all part of this system, this pattern that Arteta's put into play, and they're executing it amazingly. I mean, what was your thoughts on it, mate?
Oh yeah, it was absolutely excellent. I mean, you said earlier that you had something cooking, and I mean, in the last podcast, we said that Arteta and this team will have something cooking for the team, and it was a ready meal. It didn't have to be prepped. It didn't take long. 25 minutes, done. Game over. Game over. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the changing room. There's like most of the changing rooms now have like this, like a kitchen island bit in the middle, don't they? The big like sort of centerpiece. Like, it's not a table, but you know what I mean. It's like a big island. And, yeah, they had Lloris on a picture, and it just had shoot on the three. And when Odegaard and Ramsdale were talking on Sky after the game, he said, yeah, he's told me all week I need to shoot more, because apparently during the footage, and Ramsdale went on that post when he's slower to go down on that side. So he's like, Martin, I mean, you get one, you hit it like as soon as you can, because if you remember before, he parried one out, didn't he?
Yeah.
So so I'm like, they've drilled that as well. It's just, in the words of the A team, it's amazing when a plan comes together. You know, it's,
I said that I think I said it in the chat as well. I think it's the way when he sort of scored the second goal, he's like, okay, Odegaard's been told to shoot, because the data science and what they do now, they analyze everything, and I'm sure they would have seen the goals he's letting recently, especially the one I think he's letting a goal similar against Villa as well.
Yeah. He's had a few.
So his reactions are getting slower. He's getting, and he obviously saw that, and if there's something in that dressing room saying, obviously, look, just shoot against this guy, then again, it's just those minute details that are just, just covering all bases. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No. And I mean, you're talking. I mean, Zinchenko. You got to give him mad props, man. I mean, you're talking about when he was centre back. There was another time in the first half where he come from the left channel where he normally is, and he's like cut across Partey and Xhaka and gone into that like right number 8. Yeah. And Odegaard's gone, okay, so he's done the overload as like the right wing with Saka doubling up on Sessegnon, who's already panicking. Sessegnon's already panicking because he can't deal with Saka, and then he's got both of them two going at. And I mean, Odegaard don't stop running all game. That guy, in terms of pressing triggers in the league, got to be one of the best, if not the best at it for me. I can't at the moment even take the bias of being an Arsenal fan away. I can't think of a midfielder in the league better than him at the moment.
No,
He's sensational. I mean, all of them to a man are sensational. And Neil made a great point, and so did Dan. Previously, we've said, oh, one of our, this player played really well today. That player played really well today. And I've said it on purely, basically nearly all season when I've been on. Isn't it amazing that after every game, when you do man of the match, it's a debate.
Yeah.
Normally we all have different ones. We don't all agree. And that's the best thing, because it's like we've got such a good side now. Not just we've got a good player, we've got a good side.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing. And long may it continue, because we've got a good 11, but I know you're going to touch on it later. That's the next goal. That's the next big step.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, for me, we've watched. We've lost count the amount of North London derbies we've watched, but yeah, definitely one of the most efficient I've ever seen. It did remind me of the performance when we won the league there, that first half where we just absolutely toyed with them. It was like a cat playing with a ball and string or something like that. It was embarrassing. And again, we gave them a little bit of energy. Lehman doing his stupidness, and then they almost they end up getting that equaliser and stuff. But yeah. Let's talk about Ramsdale, obviously, before we talk about the shenanigans. But again, it was another vital performance. I mean, people are sort of saying, Gary Neville gave him man of the match, and he's been given man of the match, obviously through the club as well, through the poll and everything. And people are saying it's a bit of a slight to sort of give him that, because that kind of shows that Tottenham maybe, deserve to get something out of the game, and we only won because of the keeper. But it wasn't. I don't think it was that type of. We know what Neville's like. He's bitter and everything, but I don't think that was because. I just think because he didn't make any errors, he didn't do anything wrong, and when he was called upon, how many times have we won games where Seaman's done that? Where he's just done his job, or Lehman's just done his job, pulled off a couple of saves, just to make sure that the win, everything's intact. And I thought the save, this one against Son, was really good, because I thought he was offside. When he got slotted through, I thought, oh Christ! But again, he was alert to that. But yeah, Neil, we've obviously had the whole discussion about Ramsdale and his maturity, but it just seems like he's getting more and more mature, with every passing game.
If there was a game for him to really show that transition in his story, it was this one. For people to say, well, if you're giving a goalkeeper man of the match, it's because you were being pummeled and by the opposition attackers. That's not the case. And this, as you said, Michael, is completely different. This was a situation where we have played so well. We've done our best job. We've got our goals. We're managing it now in a very professional manner. And yes, when they've got chances, you're not going to expect the likes of Kane and Son not to have a chance. It hurts me to say, but they are good finishers. They are good goal scorers. So, and at the end of the day, Tottenham, for all their sins and all their negatives, they are a Premiership League, team. So we're going to expect it. And what Ramsdale did is, when he was called upon, he was there, and he made some magnificent saves. I mean, obviously the one. I can't pronounce his name, where he just stuck his leg out. That was world class. But I mean, he made some others, like the one you just said, the Son one, and even the Kane ones. He made himself big. He knew his positioning was good. Didn't panic. And he's to me, he's another player. I mean, I say about all of them that they seem to all be getting better game by game, but so is he. And I think he likes to get involved. He does this bantering with the crowd and stuff, because I think he feels he's kind of player that wants to be involved. If he could, I'm sure he'd run up the pitch and try and score a goal, because that's the way he is. He just wants to be part of it more than just being between the sticks. And it's important, a goalkeeper, because how many times have, a good championship winning side have had a great goalkeeper? And, we talk about a goal is worth 3 points. Well, so is a world-class save. It's equally worth 3 points. So we can't just talk about goal, all the goal scorers tend to get the highlights, and they get the accolades. Sometimes you have to look at the defenders and the goalkeeper as well. And I just think what a buy, first and foremost. What an amazing buy. And it's not just him doing what he does, it's his whole character. And yes, it might have got him into a bit of trouble, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't change him. because I think that's what makes him tick. Because that's what things like Lehman used to be. You know, you can call him Mad Jens, but it's what made him tick. And if you take that away from him, we might see a little bit of a decline in his performances. So I think what he's doing is perfect, and I've got no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, that's part of his makeup. You know, that's his part of his character, and that just gives him that little edge and spurs him on. I mean, in terms of we'll touch on obviously the situation that happened later on, and obviously his performance as well, Daniel. But he had an interview, I think last season, where he was talking about. Oh no, sorry, earlier this season when he was talking about the Chelsea game, and he basically said he was getting dogs abuse all game, absolutely all game from the Chelsea fans. You know what the Chelsea fans are like. You know what they use. I remember there was that time that a fan said something racist towards Lehman, and I think that guy got done because you could hear what he said and you could lip read it. But he was basically said he was getting absolute dogs abuse all game against Chelsea. We scored, and he turned to the same fan that was giving him the real dogs abuse, and all he did, he turned and he waved to him. He just waved, just a wave, and I think one of the head stewards, come over to him and says, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. Why'd you do that for? You're taking." And he's like, "You've heard all the abuse. You stood there and you've heard all the abuse I've had all game, and you're saying that I've just waved back at him. I didn't do anything else. He just waved and smiled at him." And the stewards like saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. You've antagonised him." And he's like, "Why should why should I get all that abuse? And all I've done is I've waved at someone, and he's having a go at me." So that's kind of what he's up against, you know. And we've seen Leeds. He's taking the mick at Leeds. We've seen with all after it, he's taking the mick here against them. It's just bad losers, isn't it? They can't take it. And obviously, the guy that's done what he's done has been, you know, arrested. And he's due to appear in court and everything. But Daniel, what's your take on that? Obviously, as previous stewards, we used to work at Arsenal. What's your thoughts on the situation? Because obviously he was antagonised by Richarlison, and that's what sort of led to that as well. But no one seems to be talking about that.
You know what? I've got no problem with what Ramsdale did. You know, fans can be real sensitive. You know, they can give it, as we know, Mike. They can give it. Your team goes one down, one of their players starts giving it back, and then all hell can break loose. But I've got no problem. I think it's part of football. It's part of the banter. What transpired after that was just ridiculous with regards to Richarlison and the fan kicking out. But no, I've got no problem with players that have a bit of personality, have a bit of a banter with the fans on the pitch. You know, I've got no problem with that, because footballers have to take a lot of stuff. We hear it all the time, like both as a steward and now as a season ticket holder. You know, you hear some vile stuff going on in the grounds, and so it's a lot. It's a pressure cooker, in it, for these players to be in, hearing all kinds of stuff, you know, about your mum, about your wife, about your son, about whatever the media said about you yesterday or whatever. Do you know what I mean? If you're sick, they'll say something about that. It's just it's quite horrible. So for me, football players have a bit of a personality and have a bit of a laugh, or a bit of a wave. It's just cheeky. There's nothing malicious about it. It's just banter. Like, fans love to dish it out, but you've got to take it when it comes back your way, man. It's just how it is. So I've got no problem with Ramsdale. I think I love his personality. I love his bubbliness. I love the fact that he can take it. And I love the fact that he will just engage with the cameras, with the fans. And yeah, he's got a good personality, a good spirit about him. And he loves Arsenal. Rumour has it that even if we win a game 2-1, he's really cheesed off. He's not happy about the one goal conceded. But I love that. For me, I love that. So yeah, I've got no problems.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. You know, I've got no problem with him whatsoever. You know, he adds a bit of character. It's just banter. It's harmless banter. But I think in this day and age where people just take things a bit too seriously, and the stuff from social media spills over to when they get in the ground, and then they obviously they're fueled up with whatever they've taken or drunks or whatever substances, and they do stuff like that. But does it worry you then, James, the fact that certain individuals in the media seem to be trying to put the blame on Ramsdale. Jim White at TalkSport, and obviously Chewbacca himself, Richard Keys, saying what he said about, Arteta is to blame because he's out of control. So his players are out of control. He's like, hang on a second, he's having banter with him. But do they have a responsibility as well? Because they're antagonising these people who, some of them can't count up to 10. With 10 coins in front of them, whatever. But what's your thoughts on that? And I think that aspect of it, where the media are sort of, they're the gatekeepers, really. We get all of this stuff through, but they're talking like it's not. They're absolving someone coming on and attacking another person, trespassing the pitch, which is a criminal offence in the first place, getting onto the pitch, and then actually assaulting someone. But they're turning it and saying it's a player's fault. What was your thinking of that?
Well, we've had this discussion, before this season about the media, haven't we? I mean, we were talking earlier about the clips now that you've put on TikTok. I think one of them is about us talking about the media, and I'll start with the adult Hasbullah first, old Richard Keys. I'll tell you what, man. Martin Keown summed him up the other day. He's had to go to the other side of the world to try and remain relevant in 2023. I mean, Jason McAteer, now this isn't my words, Jason McAteer has openly admitted that he is one of, if not the most thickest footballers of all time. He said, common sense, he went, pfft. He said, when I think it was he filled out an application for something before, and they said, job role, footballer, position, he put midfield. That he's openly admitted that story's true, about, and even he was going like, oh, Richard, play, like, you see it, like, take a look at yourself, what you're saying. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And Jim White's another one, he's lost the cushy job with the yellow, the yellow suits and everything on Sky. He's on TalkSport now. We know what TalkSport's been about. I've said this for years. TalkSport, some of the main producers, Adrian Durham's producer, was Arsenal. And apparently all of Adrian Durham's family are Arsenal fans. And we all know that there is a section of our fan base that will, if you rattle it, will engage with you. And then that obviously gets, the more you share the video, the more money they get, the more traction so it's all a marketing exercise. I know it's hard to ignore it, but that's what the best thing I would do is just ignore it. And you know what? I've got you guys there, you've both been stewards before. The picture, the guy that's nearest that could have grabbed him is stood there laughing. I'm like, what a disgrace to your job you are.
Yeah, spotted that straight away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not that long ago that, again, at that ground, and every club's got idiots. I'm not going to say that Arsenal don't have idiot fans. Of course we do. But it's not that long ago that Eric Dyer jumped over to grab the geezer that was having a pop at his brother.
Yep.
So they can't say that they haven't got that stadium ain't been open that long. Yeah. And there's two incidents there that, okay, one of them got stopped from being pretty meaty because I think his brother restrained him.
Yeah.
But this one did get meaty. Okay, it might not have hurt Ramsdale, but he's kicked, he still kicked him. It's ridiculous. And Richarlison was an instigator the whole game, like he normally, Richarlison's the kind of guy, after he goes to the toilet, he'll blow his nose on the same tissue. He's a wrong'un. That's what Richarlison is. You know what I mean? That's the kind of guy he is. He's a wrong'un. That's just so I don't take anything that that guy says or does. He's just an idiot. The guy's an absolute idiot. Why don't you worry that you've cost £65 million and you still haven't scored a goal in the league all season? That's what you should be worrying about, mate. Not worrying about Arsenal or Martinelli trying to give you a fist. But that was hilarious, by the way. Martinelli trying to give him a fist bump, and he's like, I thought that was so funny. And Tommy Asu rattled him as well earlier. But as well as watching Arsenal, I go watch non-league, Michael. And I watched Dagenham and Redbridge. And Dagenham and Redbridge played, I think it was Wealdstone last season. And their goalkeeper had an luminous pink kit on. So it was shirt, shorts, socks. For 90 minutes, we chanted Pink Power Ranger, calling him Kimberley, 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 all game. They ended up equalising at the end. He turned around, he gave us two fingers. We laughed about it. That's football, that's what you do. Them lot couldn't take it.
Yeah,
Couldn't take it because, like you said earlier, they've been booing and they're angry, and it's like, oh, I won't be able to get my hands on. Oh, I'll tell you who I can get near. I'll go for Ramsdale.
yeah,
Yeah, idiots, mate. Worry about what your own club's doing.
yeah. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic. But no, just glad the guy's been. We caught. There was some good footage on Sky Sports News actually, where they had a camera and the camera tracked him, the guy, and it tracked him running all the way, and like he's run all the way back up to where he's gone and hid behind two guys that he's come with, and any stewards around, anyone's seen that to follow him? No, there's nothing there. He even takes his coat off and his scarf off to try and blend in. He's got his mates holding his coat and everything, so he's probably trying to get away. And as far as we know, he walks away from that stadium without anyone even wanting to do it. Because there's that thing, it's them. He's done it against them. Like giving them a pat on the back because he's done something against them. Because the hatred for us is more than it is the other way. We just laugh at them. They're like banter to us. But for them, it's just pure hatred, and it spills over. And players like Richarlison and Romero, they limited ability to a certain extent, and they try and tap into that. And if we do that, then we'll get the fans on side. Not about our footballing ability, because I use a line that I used last night. We've all got something in common, and that's we've all scored 0 Premier League goals with Richarlison. So at least we could probably say we're worth 60 million as well. So do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So I would say, I'm happy that the guy's been arrested. The clubs, hopefully, obviously backing him. But yeah, Richarlison shouldn't be getting away with that as well. He's assaulted Ramsdale as well.
And again, that's another thing is that they said that in the refs reports come out and he's not mentioned the incident, so there'll be they can't do any retrospective. I'm like, of course you can do retrospective action. Of course you can.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, if you want to really go into it, the incident with Højbjerg at the end of the first half. Pawson, Mike Dean of all people overturns it. Mike Dean. I mean, it was never a penalty, but I'm like, to give that on the field.
Yeah.
How inept are you?
Just crazy.
Yeah. Nuts.
Absolutely crazy. But no, we escaped that. We got out of there with a 2-0 win, obviously extending our lead to the top of the league after United are getting their leg up through Howard Webb by giving that goal for Fernandes the other day, which was just ridiculous. So just hopefully all the players and the fans who came out of N17, they all get quarantined, take the booster shots, because it's a rough down there around that area. I tell you, you don't really be caught down there at night. So hopefully they'll take the shots, take the boosters, and not that booster, vitamin C and all that stuff, and hopefully be right as rain for Sunday. But first, before we talk about obviously United and the revenge mission, hopefully, which will be, because we really, if there's one game I want us to win for the rest of the season, I just want us to turn them over. But won't talk about that as yet. But what we'll talk about is the transfer soap opera, which always seems to attach to our club, which is probably what James is talking about, referencing with the clicks and what have you. But we'll talk about that in a second. So we haven't secured the signing of Mudryk, which looked like we were pretty much certain to do so. Chelsea have come in, blown stuff out the water in terms of the salary. But according to the Shakhtar CEO, who's doing his media tour at the moment, talking to everyone about it, I'm pretty sure he's going to release a book soon as well about the whole saga, because that's what the guy seems to be going towards. It might be a Netflix show or maybe an Amazon show. I know Jack said All or Nothing should season 2, they did one. It should just be on the Mudryk transfer saga. It could easily have 8 episodes on that. But yeah, according to him, we were talking to this guy for weeks, and Arteta apparently, and Edu and Zinchenko apparently spoken to this guy, and looked like it was all cut and dried. And then obviously Chelsea came in, and within a week he'd signed for them. is it a worry that Neil, that we've sort of spent a bit too much time on that deal? Obviously, we've got 2 weeks left. What would you, or are you just thinking, well, club at Arsenal should have other irons in the fire? But I mean, is it a worry? Is it a worry or like a dent to confidence? For the negotiating team that this has happened, especially to Chelsea.
I'd like to think that we've got other irons. I think they should be a little bit more aware, especially we were going for the midfielder, weren't we, at the end of the summer, and we had seemed to focus on that, and then we ended up not getting that player. And you'd think maybe even if they hadn't taken stock of that then at that time, then maybe at least they've learned from that in this window. But I just, in a way, I'm relieved, because I don't really want to be having a player coming in for that much money when you've got other players that have cemented their place in the club already. We've got a really good thing going at the moment with all these players and the understanding they have, and it looks like they've got a great bond and understanding with each other. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes in. He's like played a few games. All right, he looks blistering. He probably will become a wonderful player, and we wouldn't say no to him. But it's not fair on the players that are already here that he might be earning like 15 times the wage that they're on when they've already been doing it and playing so well. And I think that could be really disruptive in its own way. So in a way, I'm glad it hasn't happened because of that. And why should we just be succumb to, just because Chelsea want to destroy the market and come in with stupidness like they've done? It's like, oh yeah, look, Arsenal seem to know what they're doing, so let's follow what players they're going for, and then we'll just come in with a bigger bid. I mean, and I'm sorry, if the player is going to go for money and all of that kind of stuff, then we don't want players like that. We don't want mercenaries at our club. Thank you very much. We want players that are playing for the badge, that are playing for the pride, playing for a club that is full of class and has got an established history, and they understand and know what it means to wear that badge on their chests. So I'm glad it hasn't happened, personally. As good as he might become, and he might well become one of the best players in the world, but I'm sorry, I'm not willing to destroy all our ethics as a result of that. No, because at the moment, to be honest, even if he did come in, he's not going to get first team player anyway at the moment, is he? So for me, if you want to quickly talk, I mean, you know me, I don't do transfers and things like that because of this, exactly this. Mm-hmm. But I know, as much as it might be important to get another attacking player up, simply because of the number of games that we've got coming up with Europa and the FA Cup as well. Do we worry that Saka and Martinelli are going to get tired out, that they get burnt out at some point before the end of the season? Do we learn from what happened at the last season, where we just fell short, where we could have done with some extra players because of the injuries we had? All of that you have to take that into account. So yeah, we do need someone there, but I still feel, for me personally, there has to be someone that comes in that can do a good as job, or even an 80% a job of what Partey / Xhaka are doing. Because if one of those two go, for me, they are running the midfield at the moment, and they're playing so well together. And if we lose one of those two, I'm so worried. And sorry, Lokonga, with all due respect, isn't the player to come in and do that job at the moment. And so for me, we do need someone in, and I'm hoping. I found because of that documentary, I've kind of got a lot of respect now for Edu, and I think they should have something in the works, and I hope so anyway. So that's how I see it, for me anyway.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they want that history to repeat itself, because was it last year? It was Vlahovic, wasn't it? We every day it was like, oh, we're gonna, and it turns out they didn't want to know, and he's just had their eyes on Juventus. And there's this thing about Juventus and their pull in terms of clubs wanting to sell to Juventus. I mean, James is probably more knowledgeable than us because he follows the Italian league a lot more than we do. But there's part of me, I totally agree with you, Neil, but there's part of me that thinks, he's a young. If he was maybe 28, let's say, if he was a 28-year-old player, to me, it looks, from the outside looking in, it looks like the guy's been told, no, you're going here because X, Y, Z. We find out 22 million is going to the Ukraine relief for the war effort. Okay, that if we'd have paid 80 million or 90 million, they could have still used that 20 million or whatever out of that to put towards it. You look at him on when he gets taken out to parade at Chelsea, doesn't look particularly happy. He's got Darno Cerner there from Shakhtar, who's a Shakhtar, director of football, whatever. What was he doing there? It's almost like, let's say, for example, we sold Martinelli to Real Madrid, and Edu would be out there walking out with him. Would Edu be out there walking out with him while he's waving? No. So what's he doing there? So there's something. It's almost like he's making sure this kid doesn't bolt, or mentally he doesn't collapse because maybe he's not got the move that he wanted to go. He wanted basically.
Did you see all the quotes from his interview, Michael?
No, I haven't. No.
He basically said that it's such a great thing for the Ukraine to have a player walk out with that flag on what was previously Russian territory.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm like, we said that there was like fishy stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, this like you said. I mean, the picture of the guy. I'm sorry, I've seen happier ransom photos. I don't mean to be cruel. I really have. He don't look like he wants to be there at all. And I agree with just what you've said. He's been told this is where because they're never going to get that money ever again.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And I'm so glad Vieira come out today, by the way, and called him out. I mean, you said the other day, Michael, that there's a lot of these managers and owners that are getting fed up of Bowley already.
Yeah,
he was only here 5 minutes. He was trying to talk about how he wants the playoffs for the relegation and the All-Star game. And it's like, mate, you've been here 5 minutes trying to tell us how to run a league that we've had for 30 years. Slow down.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I think that there's a few more managers that are going to come out and say, I think Vieira started it. Obviously, we're not best pleased with him. I think there's going to be a lot more that are going to be going like, hang on. And again, just quick about media. We spend 300 million, come fifth by a point with the youngest manager in the youngest squad. And it was embarrassing. Joke. How pathetic are Arsenal? They've spent 500 million and a 10th. Oh, but they're unlucky, aren't they? Graham Potter's learning. Oh.
Yeah. Narratives.
Can I just quickly say though, just to ask you guys a question? But surely, I hear what you're saying. I completely get it. I'm not turning on the guy at all. I mean, I agree. I think he's been pressurised and he's been told what to do. But surely, a player has a tiny bit of say in where he wants to go. It's his future. It's his career. At the end of the day, there must be something that the player can say. Sorry, I'm not playing for them. I'm not doing it.
But it's 7 years and about 800 in 800 odd wages, isn't it?
Yeah.
The money he's going to get is ridiculous.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. But if he purely did not want to play for Chelsea and he wanted to come to Arsenal, he could quite easily say no. I don't. I mean, I'm sorry. Even if you're only 18 or something, you do have a little bit of say. We all do. We all did at that age. Yeah, we don't know everything, but we'd have a little bit of a choice. So I don't know. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both.
What do you think, Daniel? What's your take on it?
I think in today's age, you've got so many pieces of the pie with players. It's not just a player's decision anymore. I know a few people that are close to football players. I know someone who's an agent, and it's been said to me that a transfer is really not simple. It's really not just always a player's decision. There's so many different hands in there. There's the agents, there's people that own part of the image rights, there's sponsors, there's so many different pieces of it, and it's really, really a complex thing. Definitely, I agree with you, James. Mudryk doesn't look happy at all in any of his pictures. He's barely breaking out in a smile, a smirk even.
Yeah.
He don't look happy. I think you're right, James. There's some kind of political agenda going on, I believe. Obviously, we're talking, we're kind of hypothesizing, but walking out with the Ukrainian flag is kind of like a bit of a moral victory for them, with Abramovich leaving Chelsea, as I used to call them. And in terms of the football sense of things, I must admit I did want him. I have to be honest, but I think the money was wrong. Way too wrong. The money was wrong. He's had one full season. He cost them £1 million. About a year or two ago,
Yeah.
And this is his first full season, isn't it? He's hardly got any experience, despite being 22 years old. Look at the experience that Saka's got at he's just turned 20, isn't he?
Yeah.
Look at the amount of experience Saka's got, for example. But no, I think Arsenal have done the right thing by pulling out the deal. Well, the rumor is that Shakhtar had said no, and then Chelsea came afterwards. Apparently, Chelsea didn't pip us to the signing. Apparently, the negotiation had ended, and then Chelsea came with supposedly a better offer. That's what I'm reading. Obviously, we don't know what goes on.
I think it was just that they were going to get the money. There's money that was going to be released. It was going to be released a little bit quicker, and they believe it is more realistic. So, for example, once he gets 30 appearances, they probably get another bump, whereas Arsenal probably might have had 60 appearances or something like that.
Yeah,
so there would have been more triggers, which would be easier to reach than thingy.
But I think one thing to note, though, guys, is I do believe our transfer negotiation team need a bit of a kick up the bum. I do believe that, it's just that there seems to be a real difficulty with getting deals over the line sometimes. Not all the time, but some. That's a slight concern of mine. I don't know what you guys think, but I think, just the last few years, getting deals over the line, and that kind of transfer negotiation team has changed so many times. We had the FEC, the Football Executive Committee. They had that's disbanded. The Husfami, he's gone now, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
He
went a while
now
ago.
there's somebody else. I just feel that stability is still building with Edu and whoever else is involved. I just wish that we were a little bit more ruthless and a bit more timely with our pursuits and our signings. That's just a slight annoyance from me. I don't know what you guys think.
I think the general narrative is that Arsenal, they tend to do the due diligence. They tend to make sure they talk to people around the player, what his character is like, and everything like that. Obviously, check out his medical side of history and stuff like that. The negotiations just generally it is a lot slower. You look at, for example, you're always comparing to other clubs, but you look at Liverpool, for example, when they signed Gakpo, came out of nowhere, bang. Liverpool have agreed a fee with Gakpo. Literally 48 hours later, he's at Melwood. He's having his medical and he's signed. It just seemed to be a little bit more slicker, a little bit more automatic in that. And I go back to the party deal, which obviously we used to talk about a lot on the Purely Arsenal. How long did that go on for? We didn't really know anything about the actual release clause until right towards the end of it, and it was like, well, he's a good player. Why don't we just? Why are we dragging our heels? Because anyone could have come in and done what they've done with Mudryk. Come in and got him, and we got him. Transfer deadline day. We did that live pod with Jack. With all five of us on there. Again, it looked good when it come off. But imagine if someone had come in. Liverpool were looking for need a midfielder. United need a midfielder. Imagine one of them lot came in last minute, actually paid what Atletico wanted. So I think there's good ways of looking at it in terms that we do things like that, and then we can sort of have this valuation, and we're not going to go above that. But when you've got 2 weeks to go in the window and you're on the precipice, you're on the verge of doing something really amazing, you really have to, seize the moment. I should say, really sort of just, not mess about and try and, make it count, because you're not only doing it for the manager, you do it for the players. Because if you bring quality in, you can maybe give a certain player a breather, and then you can rotate a little bit and not let the levels drop, which is what I think we always say, and what you said at the beginning, Neil, about James, about the 11. The 11's fantastic, absolutely fantastic, but it's the squad, and you only got to look at City and look at what they've built. Now, we're not going to spend the amounts of money that they have on those players, but we can still get the quality. We still get the quality in and build that quality in. So when we do take a player out, the level doesn't drop, because that's the worry. Because if one or two players get injured, that's when the level drops. And then he stays in for a little bit longer. But at the moment, Eddie's doing well. He's getting his chances because he's playing around the top boys. He's the only one. That's the difference there. If it's Eddie and then maybe, let's say Tierney, because he doesn't offer the same, open the game up like Zinchenko does, and then maybe Partey comes out and then he's in, the levels drop. Unfortunately, that's a fact. So yeah, it's it's a bit a lot to chew over, but let's hopeful that
I think Daniel makes a great point, and the problem for me is again, like you said, they're I think the positives outweigh the negatives. However, the negative is that us as a club do not like to be sucked in or pulled into bidding wars. Because we believe so much in the project, and that the project itself should convince the player, like you've said, not a monetary thing. However, the way football is going, and we've seen it, you are gonna get sucked into a bidding war eventually, and you're gonna have to play that game. And I think it's because we don't want to do like your cities and maybe have okay, Grealish scored at the weekend, but has he really been that player for Man City? I don't think so. No. Calvin Phillips, big money. Has he been that player for Man City? No. And that's the thing. I think we're so nervous after Pepe, which they shouldn't be, because again, like we said, there was stuff involved with this Mudryk deal. I think there was a few people, especially at Arsenal, that had fingers in pies in that Pepe deal. So, we're looking at the alternatives, and a lot has been said about Trossard, and I know Zaha's been mentioned as well. I really don't see those two players, because the only one that Arteta's ever gone for that's above that 28 age range is Willian, and that went so terribly wrong. So I don't think he's going to go for that elder player. I wouldn't mind if he did. I love Trossard. I'd kindly take Trossard at Arsenal, but I don't think that's the kind. I think they like that, 23, 25.
Yeah.
Is he the complete article yet? Maybe not, but can we get him to that level?
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of, if we're going to do it, and I hope we do it, I don't think they can leave it again, like you said, like we did with Vlahovic.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they've got a level that they go, no, that we're not spending above that. I like that they've got, the what's the word? The strength of their conviction to say that's the minimum. We're not getting involved. But then at the same time, there is going to come a time where you are going to play that bidding war game, sadly.
Yeah.
Because that's the way football's going. I'd love to be able to still do it the purest way. Yeah. But that's dead. It's gone. It's finished.
Ever since Chelsea,
exactly.
rolled into town and started offering money for Henry, and then started outbidding people that we were after. Even going back then, people like Drogba, we were after. Peter Cech, we were after. Chelsea just came in and just
Juan Mata and Hazard was £5 million for Juan Mata. That was the only difference. Yeah, Wenger wouldn't budge on the £5 million.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, I'm sure we'll touch upon all of that between now and the next 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll be talking about one or two players coming in. But obviously we'll finish with the game on Sunday, the big one. Obviously all Arsenal games are big games, but this is a massive one against United, who are in a bit of form. Neil, are you going to that one, mate? Or are you lucky to get a ticket for that one? I know you sometimes go.
No, I'm struggling at the moment because of this, whatever's going on with the website. You get on there and the tickets are gone within 3 minutes. It's ridiculous. Something is not right, and there have been complaints made to the club, because I'm speaking to so many members, and they're all saying the same thing. We just can't get tickets anymore. So it literally is pot luck if you try and go on the exchange method later on to be able to get a ticket. But to be honest, I haven't got anything booked now for this part of the season. I went to quite a few games, luckily the first half, but nothing apart from the rescheduled Everton game. So I don't know. So no, I'm not going, but I'll be eagerly waiting at home to watch this one.
So just quickly, what are your hopes, fears, and predictions for that one?
Hopes are obviously a win and get revenge, because I think we were wrongly done in the game against Old Trafford. Obviously, it's come out now that the VAR decision was wrong, so that could have changed the whole complexion. Because I think, to be honest, I think that was one of our best games. Ironically, we lost it, and it was one of our best games, and that's saying a lot. We bossed them for so much of the game, and yes, admittedly, they probably weren't the way they are now. They are playing very well now. They've got some balance in their team. They've got Rashford, who's on fire, and that's probably my concern. Keeping him quiet mainly. There's obviously that there are others as well, but I think he's the one that we'd have to watch out for. But you know what? Why should we keep looking at the other team? I've said this so many times before. Look at us. We're the ones top of the league. We're 8 points clear. Obviously, we haven't been tested yet, of course. Yeah, still haven't been tested. You know, we've still got Man United to play. We've still got to say, and you never noticed in the media, we talked about the media earlier, they're still saying, well, they've still got Man City to play twice. Oh my God, we're not going to hear the end of it, you know. So we haven't been tested yet. So obviously, yeah, it's all going to come apart when we play Man U, of course. So no, I think they're going to have too much for them, and I believe we're going to make right what we you know, we didn't get the win when we played Newcastle a week ago, whenever it was. That was frustrating. I think at home we are becoming a fortress at the Emirates. The noise levels are unbelievable. Dan obviously can attest to that as well. It's just incredible now, the atmosphere there. I think we're just going to have too much for them. And I think I'd like to see a reverse of that scoreline, because that would be justice. Yeah. So 3-1. And yeah, I mean, you can take a pick of who can score. I'll just go for I'll go for Saka to score the first goal. 3-1.
Nice. Dan, you're going to be there.
Yeah.
What's your thinking? What's going to happen?
I think we're going to win. I'll say that boldly, confidently. I think we're going to win. I do acknowledge the threat that they have. Obviously, much has been said about Rashford in the last few weeks, but for me, the two men to watch are Casemiro and Fernandes in the middle. For me, those two I'm going to be a bit cagey towards. I'm going to keep a close eye on them, because the way that they've been playing sets the foundation for going back and going forward for Man U. I think they're really important. If you look at the trajectory of Man U, those two players are really important for them in terms of how they control games and how they defend and how they attack. So for me, that's what I'm going to be looking at, to see how our midfield can deal with that. Casemiro, as we know, is aggressive, gets in the tackle, very good position wise. And then Fernandes, you know, he works hard, he can run for days, pops up in scoring positions, great dead ball specialist as well. So it's going to be a tough game, but I'm backing us to win. I think Saka will be in the mix, and I'm gonna back Eddie to get a goal.
Yeah,
I'm gonna back Eddie to get a goal as well. And I'm gonna say 2-1 Arsenal. But yeah, I'll be there. I'll do a vlog.
Yeah, nice
as well, and yeah, keep you guys informed.
Good stuff. James, finish with you. What's your thoughts for the big one?
Yeah. No, Dan again, spot on with Casemiro and Fernandes, and I know that he's on. If he gets booked against Palace, Casemiro, and Varane gets booked against Palace, they could both be out. So hopefully, Eze or someone, you know, can do us a favour and try and run rings around Casemiro again. If they could get him booked, I'd be very, very happy. Well, they don't have to turn. If they don't have to turn up. If they could just get him to foul him, then it helps us big time. But no, I'm as much as their fans have been confident all week. I am. I'm really confident for this game, because if you look, and again, Neil said it, when we played them away, we did so well, but we just got caught twice on the break. But Thomas Partey wasn't in that game, if you remember. He wasn't there. He is now. And he will not give that space. He won't vacate that area. And so I'm a lot more confident with him in there. And I'm going to go 2-1 as well. But I'm at the moment, you can't knock back Odegaard, can you? The guy just keeps scoring. So I'm gonna go for the captain. Fantastic. I'm gonna go 2-1 and Martin Odegaard.
Good stuff. I think we should also mention their Partey, who could have scored probably the goal of the century if that had gone in. That was so disappointing it didn't go in. I think Xhaka had his head in his hands in his head for like a minute. He was walking around like that. He just was going, I can't believe it. Unbelievable shot and performance by him, and I think yes, he's going to be the key man. He's like two midfielders. I think there was this someone did a diagram and was basically showing that he does everything. He can pass, he can penetrate, he can defend, and like Casemiro and I think it was Rodri were the ones that could do either or, but he was in the middle. And if he's there, I think he's going to dominate, and I think we'll have too much from them. They're good, but again, they haven't really played anybody. I don't think they've been tested too much. They got a leg up last week. I think we'll like Neil. I think 3-1 would be nice. I'll say it again. Shut Neville up a little bit. He probably still think they finish second, even if we turn them over 5-0. He'd probably still say no, Arsenal finish third or whatever. But no, thanks very much for your time, gents. It's been amazing.
Who's scoring, Michael? Go on. Yeah, who's going to score?
I'm going to go. He hasn't scored for a while. I think I'll go Shaka. He scored last season.
Yeah,
with it,
I'll take it.
I think it might pop up and crack another one in. But yeah, Eddie as well. Eddie could, because he had his chances the other night, and on another day, better first touch, he would have touched as well. So
yeah, I've seen a few I've seen a few fans upset that he didn't take any of those 3 big chances. So that will definitely be on his mind that he didn't take one of them. So I'm expecting if he gets one of them.
I think everything else. Yeah, I think everything else. I mean, you can't really, he's a striker, but his all-round game was brilliant. I think there was one bit he was doing some ridiculous bits on the wing where he flicked it over someone. He flicked around the corner. It's like, well, he's number 14, but I mean, come on, he's taking it a bit too far there. It's like he's channeling Henri or something with some of the bits he was doing there. But
his hold-up play is improving as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
his hold-up play is really improving.
I don't know. I think it might have been, friend of the show, old Stephen, that shared it. But there's that video of the second half where I think Son's trying to cut in, but Eddie's running back, like right back, and he tackles him and kicks it out for a throw, and Ben White just smacks him on the back, and he's like, "Yes, mate, yes."
Yeah.
Ben White was loving him being there.
Yeah, all in it together, man. It's just brilliant, and I'm sure they'll as Neil was saying, they'll be reminded of that performance at Old Trafford, where we dominated, and we there's a bit of injustice there, but that first goal from Martinelli being brilliant goal it was as well. The pass from Saka and the finish, and I think on the revenge mission, I think we'll have too much for them, but fingers crossed. But hopefully, we'll be back hopefully a Sunday night with a fresh take on the results. Thank you guys for taking your time to speak to me, but obviously we're speaking about Arsenal, so it's obviously a time well spent. Thank you for everybody watching. You can obviously catch this on Spotify as well. You can, if you want to, while you're doing your whatever it is, your housework, working from home, in the gym, crushing it, like I am in a minute. I'll probably go and download it and listen to it again. But thank you very much for your time. I'd like to thank Neil Shah for turning up. He's got a lot of work on your plate. Booking you for podcasts these days is like trying to book Hollywood superstar on Jonathan Ross's shows or chat shows, mate. So thanks for turning up.
Thank you for having me.
Daniel Charmer, while he's not delivering milk trays to all the ladies, he decides to appear on my show. I know what you're up to, bruv. So I know what you're up to. And James Johnstone, obviously, the anorak.
Pretending to be a lady and eating the milk trays. That's what I'm doing.
the football guru, the man.
I answer the door backwards. They see the hair and they go, "Oh, milk trays."
James, thanks for coming on as well. The football Arsenal football anorak. So I appreciate your time again, guys. Really enjoyed the chat. We'll be back next week again. Hopefully, talking about another brilliant performance. Hopefully, against our old rivals who resurgence a little bit. So, thank you very much. Up the Gunners. We're going to do this.